Ladies and gentlemen, so finally, I would like to once more welcome you to this fourth Madrid conference on Austrian economics. No doubt, we had all imagined this to be slightly differently. I reckon that I speak for all of us if I say I would have very much liked to meet you in person in Madrid, but as you all know, right now, this is just not possible. Ladies and gentlemen, it was Ludwig von Mises who once famously remarked that in a battle between force and an idea, the latter always prevails. And I need not remind you and me that all of us present here today, that we continuously compete for ideas, trying, sometimes more, sometimes less successfully, to advance in our subdiscipline of economics. We want to learn from each other. We want to have lively debates over a coffee, over a drink, perhaps over a dinner. We want to enhance our professional network and, ladies and gentlemen, occasionally, we want to see colleagues become friends. Even though this might be challenging in light of the current limitations imposed, I am confident that we shall not resort to force, but that we shall let the best idea win. 6 years ago, I met Dr. Beriswil at a conference in Witten, that is close to Dortmund in Germany. And in case you're wondering, ladies and gentlemen, there are more picturesque towns. But never mind. What I still remember is that in our session, there were no more than 3 participants, as the parallel session had one Professor von Weizsäcker speak, rather famous among German economists. He, and I hate to admit that, he had the other 97 participants. A year later, Dr. Beriswil and I, we met again, this time in Ancona in Italy, and a little more picturesque than Dortmund, certainly, but it turned out that what we had attended was a purely Keynesian conference. Now, by accident, of course. Certainly, it broadened my horizon, and it broadened my horizon to that extent that Dr. Beriswil and I decided at that time it had come to organize our very own conference. We then approached Professor Huerta de Soto, and you all know how things went from there. This year marks this conference's 4th birthday. I believe that we have managed, and let me again extend my very special thanks to Dr. Beriswil on this occasion, who, as always, worked miracles to compose an equally interesting and diverse program for the next 2 days. Among many other topics, we shall discuss inflation and deflation, some market observations. We will get an update on rationality, irrationality, and human behavior. We will be provided an Austrian perspective on Schumpeter and Kirchner's theories of entrepreneurship, and we shall evaluate COVID-19 from a libertarian perspective. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we do look forward to Professor Huerta de Soto's keynote speech on the Austrian school and the Spanish scholastics, lessons for today and the future. But unfortunately, as I have just learned, Professor Huerta de Soto will not be able to deliver his speech personally. However, Sonsoles Huerta de Soto has kindly agreed to deliver the lecture on behalf of her father. And even though I am not sure if she also plans on tossing a golden coin to the floor, I believe you will all agree with me if I say this certainly is one of the many highlights of this conference. What is more, at this 4th edition of the Madrid Conference on Austrian Economics, and speaking of a battle of ideas, For the first time ever, we will be able to award the Macro Trends Prize for the development of Austrian economics. So I wish to explicitly express our gratitude to Brecht Ernst for making actions. But finally, tomorrow afternoon, we shall announce this year's winner and the two runner-ups. And speaking of gratitude, ladies and gentlemen, let me seize the opportunity to thank the organizing as well as the scientific committee. If it were not for all these people involved who sacrificed their time in exchange for little more than a drink and a dinner, perhaps, we would have never been able to successfully take this conference into its 4th year. And last, but certainly not least, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to thank you, all of you, and every single one of you, for your patience, your confidence, for your support, frankly, for believing in us. This has allowed us to make this conference reality, and be it a virtual reality. Needless to say, I can hardly wait to deliver a similar speech personally next year. And I then do count on all of you being there. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let me declare this conference, let me declare this battle for ideas open. Thank you very much and stay safe.
So thank you very much, Steve, for these opening remarks. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the first session of the conference dedicated to monetary theories. But before we give the floor to the speakers, let me say a few words to ensure the smooth running of the video conference. Of course, we would all have preferred that our battle for ideas take place in person as in previous years. My experience has shown me that video conferences often have an inhibiting effect on the number of questions and on the quality of the exchanges. So to make up for these drawbacks of video conference, I really encourage you not to hesitate to share with all of us your remarks and your questions. We hope for a lively battle for ideas. So thank you in advance to all of you who will contribute to the debate. And personally, I would prefer sometimes chaotic debates to a series of autistic monologues, as it is sometimes the case with video conference. So we have about 20 minutes time for each presentation. So it will be good to have a speeches of 15 minutes by presenters and then about 5 minutes of discussion. And maybe one last point before I give the floor to the first speaker, to give a slightly more personal and human touch to our conference, I would ask the speakers first to introduce themselves quickly and also to tell us where they are attending the conference from. I think it would be interesting to know where each of us is located. I think, Lee, if I can speak for you, you are in Lübeck in the north of Germany and the Baltic Sea, and I myself located in Zurich in Switzerland.